I am. In the previous podcast of what makes me valuable too, we talked about that we are the I am. And when we look at practically the I am perceives, the I am experiences, the I am thinks and feels, we're not that thought, we're not that experience, we're not that emotion, we're just perceiving it. We then have to ask ourselves in practical nature, we know that we are also not on this earth, if that makes sense. We know that we are a being that is just experiencing thought, different experiences of reality, of this matter, of this dimension. But we are not that. We are not, we quote unquote say we're human, but we're not. What does human mean? We are a essence, a being that is just perceiving, creating. And if we're that, if we are the I am in the sense of a spiritual fluid nature, we have to say to ourselves, okay, the I am is experiencing lack right now. The I am is experiencing loneliness right now. Can the I am, and what have I learned in that experience? In other words, I've identified this feeling, and I feel it. I am allowing myself to feel this emotion and to be with it and to sit with it. Okay, that's interesting. Wow, I feel the pain that is associated with it. I see what happens to people and the relationships surrounding that situation. That's interesting. We're not connecting with it. We're just witnessing it as the I am. So in practical nature, and this is why it's important to learn how to sit still, how to be, and why meditation comes into play, because it allows you to sit and let your thoughts pass. Just witness them. Your feelings, just witness it. Just feel it without associating with it. Because that's how you learn to do in life in general. Because you need to associate yourself with who you truly are, the I am. So, in so doing, as you are this being who's creating such experiences and having such experiences, then you ask yourself, okay, I've experienced the lack. I've experienced how to go from negative 0,000 to now, let's experience multi-millions. Okay, so in the process of being in this experience of negative 0,0 and feeling the pain and feeling the lack, I see how that is, but now I want to experience what it's like to be a multimillionaire. And so we go through that process of converting our thought process. We don't know how we're creating. That's the thing. We are creators that don't know how we're creating. Oh my gosh. If we knew what we were doing in order to create such experiences, we then would change it, wouldn't we? Well, that's what it is. If we created based upon our perceptions, our thoughts, our experiences, then we can also create what we want to really truly experience based upon our thoughts, perceptions, and experiences. I.e., first changing the emotional aspect of this, what we thought we were, right? We would lack. No, we're not lack anymore. Okay, I've experienced lack. Let's move on from there. What can we experience other than lack? Prosperity. What does it feel like to be prosperous? What does that feel like? I want to know what that feels like, you see? And then the wanting to know and the experience, we're calling that into ourselves. Okay? Well, let's identify what is prosperity. Let's talk about it. What is prosperity to me? What do I feel prosperity is? What do I connect prosperity? What is the implication of prosperity? What is the identity of prosperity? So you talk that through your psyche, because you're programming, you have to reprogram the mind. Reprogram the mind. There's a scripture. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, I'll add it. But basically, we have to change the mind. We have to change that mind, not our mind, the mind, the mind of this dimension, of this essence that we hold. We have to change that so that we can experience something different. So we have to make it connectable to us. We have to align with it, meaning we have to become it. Become prosperity. What does it mean to become prosperity? What does prosperity look like? What does prosperity feel like? How does prosperity think like? So we have to contemplate this word prosperity to ourselves and say, what does prosperity mean? How does that look like? What am I doing? How does it feel like? Once we really cultivate this thought process, that's how we take it into our nervous system. That's how we're reprogramming the mind. That's how we are internalizing information. Because information is nothing without the internal connection that is made. How do you remember things? How do children learn? They make connections. We have to make a connection with what we're learning. Thereby, meaning that we have to stop and say, okay, we want to experience prosperity. What does that mean? What does that look like? How does that feel? So we have to sit with ourselves to change the nervous system, to change the thought process and the emotions of what prosperity feels like, knows what it's like to be prosperous. Because upon so doing, we will then change the exterior, the outer world. What is within is without. So this is where we start with a change. This is what changes our lives. This is what you so-called manifest the world, the life you want. It's not by focusing on the manifestation. It's focusing on the belief, the association, the knowledge, the imprint that it is on your nervous system. We've imprinted the negative emotions of lack, of not having. It's a loop in our psyche. It is a loop in our nervous system because we have associated ourselves with it. We've called ourselves lacking. We've called ourselves empty. We've called ourselves lonely. We've made it ourselves rather than disassociating that from who we truly are and saying, okay, looking at it for what it is, feeling the feelings of that and experiencing that, but then saying, okay, that was an experience. I don't like that. And then now saying, okay, well, as this God being, as this being, this spiritual being that I am, excuse the noise, but that this spiritual being that I am, I want now to experience differently. I want now to experience prosperity and abundance. But what does that truly mean? Because remember, first of all, you have to disassociate with the identity of poverty, the identity of not having, right? Disassociate yourself, meaning set yourself apart. That is not who you are. That is what you're experiencing. And once you've done that, right, then now you can take on another experience. In other words, you became poor because you associated with poverty, because you thought about poverty, because you thought the feeling was you. But what about if you want to experience something else? Then you associate yourself or perceive what prosperity is, what abundance is in your psyche as well. So how do we bring about change? We have to identify with it. We have to associate with it so that we can disassociate later if we choose to, right? We are who we say we are. We have what we say we have, right? Based upon our connections with it, how we associate with it. So if we want a different life, a different change, then we need to associate with the thought process and the emotions of that said aspiration. Okay, so we need to associate with being prosperity. What does that thought feel like? What does the emotion feel like? Who is that person? Remember, because we are the I am, and we only have and are based upon who we say we have and we want to associate with. Again, that's how we cause change. Remember? So we want a different life. Yeah, we can have it. We want things in our lives, we can have it, but it doesn't start with that. It starts with the identity of that. It starts with, okay, let's become the actor of our lives. We're taking on a character. Okay, that if you know anything about acting, okay, there's different methods of acting. So we can just have a stand apart form of acting. And I'm sorry for the terminologies. I can't remember them right now. It's been a long time. But basically, you know that this is a character. You're playing a character, and you kind of study other people, and you take on the characteristics of that said person. That's one way of acting. The other way of mythology acting, and again, there's a term for it. Excuse my memory right now, but I can't remember. But I think it's method acting, really. Method acting is when you actually become the person. You become that psychopath. You become that wealthy being. I mean, you look like it. You've taken on characteristics of this person. That's two methods of acting. Now, when you have solidified your life right now has been method acting. Our lives thus far has been method acting. We have taken on our personalities. We have taken on our said experiences and where we are in life. We are a method actor. Now, understand with acting is that you're not the actor. You're not that character. You are your said personal person. You are your said being. You're just taking on a character, right? In different aspects. So we have taken on this person who we think we are. We have taken on what this person does and how this person looks, because we are method acting right now. We have completely engulfed ourselves into this character and have forgotten. Many method actors have to go into counseling because they can't let go of the character that has imprinted upon them, or they have allowed to imprint upon them. They've literally forgotten who they are and taken on this character so in depth, so deeply, that has messed with their psyche. They're split personalities because they don't know who they are anymore. It's like, who am I? This character. This is exactly what has happened in this dimension. We have associated and taken on a character that is not us, but we have deeply ingrained in us. We are experiencing some bipolar behavior and and split personalities, because this is why we longing. There's such a longing and such a depression and such a frustration in our being, because we have forgotten who we truly are, because we have method acted so long. We have ingrained this character in our psyche. And we have completely, which has caused us to really completely forgotten of who we are. Wow, this is so interesting. So instead of being the actor that knows that they're acting in a movie, hence I'm just taking on this personality. I'm studying it. I'm seeing how they act. I'm associating other people with it, and okay, this is how they do it. Oh, okay, so I'm just gonna take on this personality and then walk away from it afterwards instead of being that actor. No. We had to go deep. We had to go real deep. We had to become the method actor. we had to become it. Now, can we say one is better than the other? I guess we can analyze the effects of it, right? One is able to take off the mask and know that they are just acting, and then the other one has forgotten that they are wearing a mask. You see? So both of them now have to still separate themselves from the character. They both have to, but one is much more difficult than the other. So if you stay in the I am, knowing that you're just acting, and you're taking on the position of prosperity, or you have taken on the position of this character that lacks, that is lonely, that is depressed, or however you want to label that, and you've taken that on as your character in a play, then that's what you've called, and you've written a story in perspective to that character. Know that you are acting. Know that you're acting, then disconnect yourself after you've experienced that. You disconnect yourself and say, okay, that was just acting. I am still the I am. You see, by taking off that mask, surely that was an experience. And actors who play in movies and so on, they can tell you they learn so much from the character that they played. They took parts of that character with them, or they left part of themselves or what they thought of themselves back with that character. They healed aspects of themselves with that character and left it behind. That's what true actors, I don't mean to say true actors, but that's what actors who disassociate with the character can relate to, can apply, can perceive. But unfortunately, the method actor is not at a point where they can see the benefits or the disadvantages, or actually forget, lose, or hold what is benefit and not beneficial to them, because they're still engulfed within that character. They're still playing that part in the movie. They're still acting out that movie, despite the cameras being there or not. In their quote-unquote lives, they're still acting it out. And so they're in that loop. You know, they have a storyline, you know, that says, hey, I've been in this family. I grew up in this family. I grew up in this race. I grew up this way, and this is the way that we think. This is what we believe, And, you know, they have to have a storyline. Characters, when they play in a movie, they have to have a storyline that they fall into. Names, not just names, but appearances and everything. So when we, as been method actors, I mean, we are Academy Award method actors, you know? I mean, we are Grammy Awards, whatever the award is, we've earned it, we've got it. We've played that role to the extent that we are prestigious. So, as method actors, we have not been able to disassociate. The only reason that we know that we're still acting is because There's a yearning on the inside that says, that's not where I'm supposed to be. That's not what I want. There's a yearning that says, I want this, I want that, but you can't get it, right? You tried everything and you still can't get it. There's a yearning that says, oh, honey, you're still acting, but you're not realizing that you're still acting. And that's when you look for help, right? That's when we look for the gurus, the inspiration, the counselors, the finances. We look to, because we know something inside is calling us, but we can't seem to get it because we don't realize we're still method acting. we're still in that mental state where we can't have it because we're still method acting this certain character. So understand that we need to disassociate, and that's why a lot of method actors do seek out counseling, right? Or they act it out. They continually act out that character, drugs and phase out, and whatever the case may be. You don't realize they're still acting. But so the way that we disassociate is similar to the other character actor, is that they look at the character and they say, hey, this is what the character brought to the table. This is what they were able, this is how they benefited, this is how I didn't like that feeling because it made me feel like this, and I don't like this, and I don't like that, but I do like this, and I do like that. I like that experience, da-da-da. And they really assess that. They counsel themselves, really, because that's what the counselor would have done with method acting, is to help you disassociate with this character, right? And so you have to look deeply at that character and say, hey, okay, I really learned from this character based on their personality being so strong and vivid. I like that about them, but I didn't like this. I don't like that part. And they relinquish. They become the I am again. They become the I am. They take on those characteristics that they want and the life experiences that they want, and that's them now. So they become different. They become what they were, which is the I am. The blank slate, per se, if you would. The blank slate that they can draw on again. They can take on from different aspects. This is what an artist does. Here we go again with the arts. It's beautiful. You have a blank slate and you take on different colors, different aspects, different ratios, different this and different that, and you make that blank slate into what you want. You are that blank slate. You are that blank white paper, whatever starter you want. You're that blank slate, and you're creating on it. But you have to wipe it. In order for an artist, they create something and they're like, I don't like this, and then they wipe it blank again. They clear it out and start all over. And that's what we are. We blank slates, and we need to wipe out whatever it is that we don't like, and we start over, and we recreate, and we experience again something different, and we express something different. So in order for the artist, wow, I'm just making all these references, but in order for an artist to decide what they want to paint or create, they decide what they are feeling, what they want to feel, what experiences they're having. If they're having it or they want to have it. They want to have it, they color it. If there is a feeling that they're expressing, they express it. So we, in our lives, have to be that blank slate where we create again. If the character, disassociate from the character first. Wipe it clean. You have a picture on that platform that you don't like. You have this character that you don't like. It is not you. It is just a painting. It is merely a painting, a reflection of you. A painting is a reflection of the artist's feelings and emotions at that time. At that time. They can either keep it to reflect back to, or they can wipe its slate clean again and recreate something new. That's what we are. That's what we have to do. So if we want something new, if we want to create our lives differently, we have to wash the slate clean. Start over. Start over with a new perception, new idea, new thought, a new emotion that we want to experience. Good morning.
Morning.
That we want to experience and create it again. This is the privilege. This is the essence of us, that we are able to do that. We are in a element called earth or life. This is just a, what do they call it? Scientists are calling it a, what do they call it again? It's not real. It's this earth or this life that we're living is not real. It's a projection. What's the word that they use? I'll come back to it if I remember it. But this is not real. What we are living, you know, we get to create it. We get to have it as we wish. So it is a simulation. There we go. Thank you. It is a simulation. We have been put into a simulation. Now, mind you, some things that are happening in this simulation is not necessarily. It's just a programmed simulation. Maybe not necessarily all of it that we've created, but it's just okay. We have a simulation of an earth with all this, and this is how it is, but then you are put in the simulation with everything that's happening around you, but you get to create yourself. You get to create yourself in this simulation. Do you understand? Like some things that are happening, i.e., on a larger level, yes, but on a more subjugated level, governments and people around us, and life goes on around us. Maybe that's not something we actually directly simulated. Perhaps we have, but in the long run, based upon us individually, we're simulating the people around us, the things around us, what's happening in our lives, because it's a reflection of us. But on the world view, it's a simulation that was already programmed. Do you get me? So we make do with it, with how we want to use the simulator. I'm reminded of China that has the CGI. Like there's a room that you can go into and you can program the simulation the way that you want to see. Like let's say you want to see the galaxies, and when you enter that room, you feel like you're in outer space and you see the galaxies. That's a simulation that's already programmed. But how you behave in that simulation is up to you. What you do and what you call forth into your being in the simulation is how you are using it. Do you get what I'm saying? I think it's profound. I think it's absolutely amazing, this life we live, this simulation we've created. And we can really make use of it if we understood it. But we don't. But we now have to come into the knowledge of it, that we are not the simulation. We're just playing a game. We're just playing a game. And we're experiencing different things as a being, as this nebulous being. We're experiencing different. How does it feel to be sad? How does it feel to be happy? How does it feel to be poor? How does it feel to be rich? How does it feel to be connected, not connected? We are experiencing these things because we, as the I am, we just are. So what we say it is what we make it, is what we experience. Do you understand? But I hope that I was, this information provided any type of clarity, or it helped in any way, or if you understood what I'm going, if I'm just rambling, I would love to hear your thoughts and reflection to what you're hearing, and it will inspire me. Although even me making this, it's basically a verbal diary that I'm sharing out loud for people who care to listen. And if it stimulates, if it connects with you, let me know. That would be nice to know. Because again, I'm just documenting these thoughts for me and sharing it. Hopefully it connects with somebody else. But let me know, please. But again, thank you for listening. Be still and know.